and welcome to Dining with Death. This episode is on my playlist, Dining with the Deceased, where we visit locations that are supposedly haunted. Today I'm coming to you from the Overland Hotel in Pioche, Nevada. This is a little old mining town, and there are so many ghost stories we can't begin to scratch the surface. But I'm going to take you on a little tour of the hotel. We're staying here, so we're going to get a little look at what happens overnight. We're going to look around the town a little bit, and of course we're going to eat here. I'm Stacy Lee. Let's begin.
When I headed north out into the high desert of southern Utah towards the tiny little town of Pioche, Nevada, I had no idea what I would find at the Overland Hotel. I was looking forward to exploring the old hotel in the infamous Wild West town, but what I wasn't expecting was to meet a cast of characters unlike any I have encountered before. When you venture into these tiny rural areas, you're bound to run into a few eccentric folks, and that's actually what I hoped for. Well, I hit the jackpot at the Overland Hotel. This is Pioche, Nevada. If you blink as you drive through it, you'll miss quite a bit of it. When you come here, you're stepping back in time. The main street has looked like this for a very long time. The paint colors and the signs might change, but this is still very much the little old Wild West mining town it has always been. In 1863, some Paiute Native Americans showed a Mormon missionary a large piece of silver ore. Well, of course, this caused a sensation. They agreed to show him where it came from in return for food and clothing. By 1868, the town was being developed by San Francisco financier F.L. Pioche, who bought several claims and erected a smelter. By 1870, more than $1,600,000 of silver had been produced in the mine. From 1870 to 1877, an additional $20 million worth of silver came out of these hills, making Pioche, Nevada the largest silver producer in the world. The only thing Pioche, Nevada is as known for as silver is its murder rate. A local history buff told me that before any of the new settlers in this town died of natural causes, there were 72 murders. The murders occurred over claim jumping, fraud, and arguing over mining rights. Pioche was much deadlier than the infamous Wild West towns like Deadwood, South Dakota, Tombstone, Arizona, and Dodge City, Kansas. In the 1870s, there were about 10,000 people living in Pioche, and for those 10,000 residents, there were 144 saloons, many of which also had brothels on the second floor. The 1870s also saw devastation from floods and a large fire in 1871 that destroyed the commercial district and caused 11 deaths. The hotel we are here for today was destroyed in that fire. It was rebuilt and then burned again and again. We'll talk about that here in a minute. The 1930s depression closed the mines, but Pioche then began mining zinc, and that continued for about 20 years. By 1958, most of the mines had stopped, and by the 1970s, the mines were all closed. Now, as I mentioned, this old hotel has burned down not once, but 3 times. The last fire was in 1947. It started around the corner from the Overland on Meadow Valley Street at a nearby restaurant. 33% of Pioche was destroyed in this fire, and 3 people were killed. The Overland Hotel burned to the ground. This version of the hotel was built in 1948. It has appeared pretty much as it does now since then. The exterior walls are poured concrete up to the second floor, and the second floor is made up of a brick exterior. The entire structure is covered in stucco and held up with massive rough-sawn beams in the basement, which you can also see here in the dance hall. The basement is 8,000 square feet and in the 1950s housed a bowling alley and a roller rink. This place has history. What is now the dance hall was once the Pioche grocery store, and the second floor was the Pioche doctor's office and examination rooms. In 1967, Mr. Bill Brown purchased the Overland. The grocery store was closed down, and he built a coffee shop and turned this area into what is now called the dance hall. The Overland Hotel is now owned by the Mortensons, who have spent many years restoring it to its original glory. There's a cute little porch out front with some really great sayings painted on the exterior windows. I love these little details. You enter through this tiny doorway that looks like the door you would see on a home, but it is in fact the main entrance to the hotel. From there, you turn right to enter this area that has many uses. This is the check-in desk. I love the old cage setup, the antique bottles, and look at this cool old safe. This cage is actually an old bank teller's cage that was brought in from Kimberly, Nevada. When it was brought in, this massive solid cherry wood bar back and bar front were also brought in. If you know anything about woodworking, you'll really appreciate this bar top and bar front. Isn't it stunning? And look at the beautiful detailed wood bar backdrop. I love these little ribbon details. The Victorian era style mirror bearing the hotel's name. Even the shelving is beautiful. There's a pool table in the back, and there is some serious taxidermy in this place. We've got this massive elk head, lots of other smaller pieces, and up here on a mountain ledge, a full-body cougar and deer look out over the bar. Like I said, it's like stepping back in time. There is a beautiful embossed tin ceiling with gold detail, and I have to say this red flocked wallpaper tickled my 1970s fancy. Don't you love it? There are Tiffany glass style pendant lights above the bar that add such a great vintage touch, and the wood floors are just gorgeous. As you walk down the bar, you come to a set of double doors, and they lead into the area known as the dance hall. As you can see, it's a place for parties and receptions with lots of seating and tables for guests. There's a little stage in the corner, and the hotel does have live music on a regular basis. Look at these great murals painted along the walls. Somebody really took some time with these and lovingly created these cute Western scenes. They're very charming and kitschy, the perfect touch for a dance hall. Over in the corner sits another bar that is used for events. The bar does have some snacks like pizza and hot dogs, but most of the time, people are here for the drinks and the slot machines. We checked into our room with the help of the front desk clerk, Wendy, who was great to us. I about died when she handed me these old-fashioned hotel placard key rings. Aren't these fantastic? So much more fun than an electric key card. You enter the bar area and climb this amazing old staircase. And when I say climb, I mean that literally. It's much steeper than a modern staircase. It goes straight up, and when you look back, there's a fantastic view of the classic carpet and the vintage style chandelier. It's pretty great. When we called and booked our room, we asked to stay in the most haunted spot. A lot of people think that's room 10, but the clerk told us room 2 has actually had a lot of activity as well. She did a very diplomatic job of making us happy with room 2 because, well, room 10 is being painted. But no worries, you're going to get a tour of it anyway. Each of the rooms on the second floor has a theme. There's the Anasazi room, the Huntin' Shack, the Southwest Retreat, the Bear's Den, and many more. I'm going to pause for a moment so you can get some serious ASMR wood floor squeakage. I love it so much. Our room, room 2, is the Kokopelli room. It is decorated with lots of Kokopelli figures and lots of Native American-style artwork. The room is huge. Our first apartment in downtown Austin wasn't much bigger than this. It's got a large sitting area with 2 couches and a TV, and then 2 queen beds in the next room with another TV. Yes, the hotel is old, but the beds were comfortable and the room was very clean, which is always something I greatly appreciate. You really don't see hotel rooms this size anymore. It's really spacious. Definitely big enough to share with the ghosts I'm so hoping appear for me tonight. There's a view of the little market across the street and the cafe as well. Look at these table lamps fashioned out of canteens. So kitschy and so cute. The theme is finished out with the artwork and wall hangings that make up the Kokopelli room. After we got settled and freshened up a bit, we went back downstairs expecting to film. And boy, we got a lot more than we expected in the best way possible. We headed back inside the lobby and bar area. I love this window signage. And we grabbed a table and began looking around. The staff was very helpful and allowed us to film freely, which is something I don't always get, so I very much appreciated that. I felt right at home when I saw this little iron detail above the bank teller cage. My grandpa and grandma Lampman had something very similar to this on the outside of their house, right above the entrance. So it brought back some sweet memories for me, and I love this lattice-like ceiling detail as well. The red bar stools and red carpet and red detail on the wallpaper with the dark wood give this place a den-like feel that I just love. Not long after we got into the bar, we met Ron. Oh, Ron, what a treasure he turned out to be. When you think of little tiny towns, there's always a true character or two, people who stand out, and that's Ron. As soon as he heard why we were there, he wanted to help. He loves this old place and spends a lot of time here, and he immediately wanted to show me the stuff that not everyone gets to see. Ron is currently working in room 10, painting and remodeling it, but he's here all the time even when he's not working. Ron took me to the back maintenance area, which is used for storage and as a workshop as well. Remember, this used to be part of the grocery store and was once even a coffee shop. It's a really big area. I figured there were some insurance issues with exploring the basement, but I did follow him down the stairs because he wanted to show me a few things. I was really not prepared for what I saw. There is a large, heavy painted door with a latch that's kept shut most of the time, and it leads to the basement. First off, look at these old stairs. They're just beautiful in the creepiest way. I love the old wallboard, and again, they're very steep, much steeper than modern staircases. I posted this to my Facebook story and people were like, "Are you crazy? Do not go down there." But I live for this stuff and couldn't wait to see it all. Ron said he really wanted to show me his friend in the creepy basement of the haunted hotel. You know I wasn't going to say no to that. Well, this is what happened.
So anyway, everybody thinks everything's so scary down here. And here's Charlie, my best friend.
Why is that down here?
Because he's ugly.
Oh,
Everybody just gets scared of him. Because he's lanky, skinny, and he can't. Charlie, trim your nails.
wow.
Love this guy.
Apparently, the hotel uses the basement as a kind of local spook alley during Halloween, and Charlie is one of its main attractions. Personally, I think Ron should be the official Overland mascot. As I left the maintenance area, these signs caught my eye. This is just priceless, classic, small town, Utah, Nevada type stuff. The owners apparently allow local hunters to hang their game in this old walk-in refrigerator for just $10. But it's got to be skinned, bagged, and tagged as it should be. Look at this fantastic old door. Isn't it cool? You open it up and, well, let's just say Dexter Morgan could do some seriously great work in here. It even comes equipped with meat hooks hanging from the ceiling because, why have a haunted hotel if you're not going to have a creepy meat storage locker covered in plastic with a single empty chair inside? Now, normally I would tell you about the experiences people have had in the haunted location, but why would I tell you when I can have the people who experienced them tell you firsthand? Especially when one of those people is my new friend Ron here, who was born to be on camera. Okay,
Yeah, but
tell me, you said you've stayed in room 10.
several times, yeah. That's my
Okay.
favorite room.
Have you seen anything crazy in there?
Oh. Define crazy.
Well, tell me what you saw.
I don't know if I can talk about that.
Well, okay. Tell me what's
What? Oh, supernatural?
PG rated
Okay.
supernatural stuff
Okay.
you can talk about.
Oh, the strangest thing I've seen in the hotel, in the basement, chairs move. One night, there was a guy from California here that was heard about this place being haunted, and I took him through the dance hall, and it was dark in there. Every light was off in there. We went downstairs and I showed him all around and everything, and when we come up, it was lighted up.
And there was no one else here.
Yeah, the barmaid was here. Yeah, and we just got done talking about haunted things, and she told me about banging in the walls and stuff. But I thought she turned the lights on, and she didn't. She swears she didn't. But she's adamant that this place is haunted. And then there's not too much different other than paint. Don't stick to walls.
Really?
No. And it's plenty warm. Certain rooms where it just disappears. We sprayed it, come back the next day, and there's no paint. It's not run down the walls or nothing. It's just gone.
Really?
Oh, that's serious shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's Spike the painter, the guy I'm working for, he can't figure it out. He thinks it's because it was oil-based paint before and we're putting water-based on, but there's no runs or nothing.
Normally it would run down
Yes.
off the wall if that were the case.
And then in room 19, we painted the bathroom, and it's concrete half the way up, you know, like plaster, and then it goes drywall. But the paint all run off the walls, but it ran to each corner and down and puddled. Yeah, am I full of shit? No.
That is very weird.
Man, I love a small town character, especially a lovable rogue like old Ron here. And as soon as he was finished telling me his stories, he wanted to show me something in room 10, the room that's being painted. Of course, let's go to the haunted room at night that's covered in plastic and pitch dark, right? As we walked back up the hallway, now well into the night, with Ron well into a few libations, he started to tell me something strange about room 10. He has stayed in that room many times. There is something very odd about the back side of the bathroom door. Pets are allowed in certain rooms of the hotel, so it would be normal and usual to assume that there might be scratch marks on some of the doors. You know, if someone leaves their dog in the bathroom while they go to eat or go to the bar, right? But what if those scratches go horizontally and look more like razor-sharp claw marks than dog marks?
Yeah, be careful. There's paint shit everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, you got your video documentation?
Yes. All right. The back of the door.
See, claw marks are side to side.
What?
You see this?
What?
Isn't that different? Now, if a dog was locked in here or whatever, claw marks would be straight down, right?
A dog would claw like this.
Yes. But why are you see all them? And these ones are straight down, but look, up. And all over here, side to side. Side to side, so what the hell do they have locked in here?
What the hell did they have locked in here?
Yeah. Why would you think a dog's gonna reach up and go?
No.
But if you look at it, it would be going this way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like
it's
trailed
deeper
off.
on the inside.
Yeah, so it'd be this way. See from here?
That is very strange.
Something was clawing up, like this, and up, like this.
I mean, you guys know I'm very skeptical of all this paranormal stuff, but that is legitimately weird, right? And Ron says those marks have been there as long as he can remember. I was finally able to convince Jamie, the bartender, to tell me some stories on camera. I love her for doing this. Not everyone loves the camera as much as Ron does, so I really appreciated her willingness to share her experiences. You are a bartender here at the hotel?
Yes. There's a pizza oven in the dance hall. You can go into the back of the hotel through the dance hall, and then there's the liquor room in the dance hall.
Okay.
So one night I had a bunch of people in here, and they were ordering pizza, so I went in there to put a pizza in, and I hear loud bang, 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 from the liquor room door, which nobody has a key except for the manager, and I was like, what is that? And I was not going to go over there, you know what I mean? I was like, so I walk out of the dance hall and I go and I call the manager, and I was like, is there any reason there would be like some severe pounding going on from inside that door? She was like, maybe somebody's trapped in there. And I was like, yeah, but nobody can get in there. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a key to get in there, and it's in her pocket, you know what I mean? So I was like, she goes, I'll check it in the morning. So the next day she comes in, and there was a guy staying up in room 8, and he had like this horrifying experience. He said that something tried to choke him in his sleep, and he was so scared, and da-da-da-da.
And this was the same night that you heard the pounding?
Yes. So that was very bizarre. A couple weeks later, we have a security system. So there's little sensors on the doors and the windows. Well, I'm sitting here and there's nobody staying in the hotel. There's nobody at the bar. Like, it's just me, and it's dark and it's late and it's, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting here and I'm watching TikTok, waiting until it's time to go home, and the security system goes off. So I'm like, so it says when you walk over to the keypad, it says back side shop door, which is all the way in that same back corner of the building. So I'm like, what does this mean? Like, is there someone trying to come in? Like, I'm freaking out. So ADT calls and they're like, yeah, your security sensors on your door are being tampered with. So I'm like, okay, does that mean somebody's in the building? You know what I mean? And they're like, we don't know. And I'm like, well, so they're like, we'll just reset your system. So it goes off again. And it's going off. And I talked to a couple different people at ADT and I was like, what is happening? And they said, something is tampering with your sensors. So I'm like, okay, so then we have security cameras too. So the security cameras, they'll beep if somebody's tampering with them. So they start to beep. And then they start to beep again. And I'm like, then my phone starts ringing. Some crazy number's calling me. You'll hear this back door it's heavy. Like the wind is not going to open it, and it will open and you'll hear it slam shut. And I've even stood here and waited and then ran over there because I was like, maybe I'm going crazy. Like, what is happening? And that was when I first started working here. I'd run over there, nobody. Look down the alley, nobody. You know what I mean?
And it's a huge, heavy door that's not going to open and close on itself.
No, it's heavy. You can go try to open it. Like you got to push it open. Just like I've heard my name being called. Our other bartender, the same thing happened with her. She hears her name and she'll go in the dance hall and then she'll hear her name out here and come out here, no one's out here. And I was standing at the bar right there talking to somebody and I heard my name and I went like this. And the lady I was talking to, she goes, what was that? I go, it sounded like my name, didn't it? She goes, yeah, I heard it. I know I heard it. And I was like, me too.
Two of you heard it.
Yeah. So we had these two guys in here from California, and Ron was here, and so he was going to take the one guy down in the basement he wanted to scare him. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of creepy down there, and it's old.
Very creepy.
So he goes through the dance hall. You have to go through the dance hall, back to that corner, but they go down there, and all the lights are off in the dance hall because they really don't want people going in there during business hours because there's no reason for it.
Right.
And so they go in there, and then I'm standing here talking to the guy from California's buddy, you know what I mean? And we're waiting for them to come back up. And when he came back up, all the lights were on. And he was like, you went in there and turned those lights on, didn't you? And I go, no. I promise I didn't go in there. I don't even like it in there.
So now we have two people with the same story.
Yeah. He's like, you're messing with me. And we went back and forth for days. And I'm like, I promise you. I stood there with that guy at the bar.
Here's my thoughts on the paranormal. We all know that a lot of things people claim to see and experience are made up. But go to the Google reviews on this hotel. There aren't a few people saying they saw strange things in this hotel. There are many, many people. In fact, as we were sitting at the bar, we all suddenly heard a big banging noise coming from the window, like someone had stopped and banged on the window several times. But there wasn't anybody out there. You couldn't see anybody on the cameras. I feel like when so many people have similar experiences, it's very dismissive to just write them off. I like to say I'm very skeptical, but I'm open-minded. And I, for one, choose not to tell people they didn't feel or experience something they claim they did, especially when there are a lot of them making similar claims. As you walk the hallways of this old place and pass by these little alcoves, it would be easy to let your imagination carry you away. The building creaks and moans, and the walls are very thin. It doesn't take much to imagine people in dress from bygone eras opening and closing these doors, walking up and down this steep staircase, and hanging out in the bar. There are a lot of dark corners, and yes, there is a bit of a spooky vibe here. I can completely see why many people believe this place is haunted. We sat at the bar with our new friends and were entertained for hours with stories of the shenanigans that go on here at what they call the O. Ron regaled us with all kinds of stories, many of which I cannot and would not repeat here, but that I love beyond the telling of it. I do love me a scoundrel. Well, from a distance anyway. And Ron here had me laughing all night. After a few more drinks, Ron went on to put about 6 C.W. McCall songs in the jukebox, to which he sang every single one, word for word, note for note, without skipping a syllable. It was pretty impressive.
Bob speaking. I says, this here Bob got the pickup truck for sale?
He says, yeah. I says, where are you? He says, 14 Innocent County Club. Take a ride on a one-lane gravel road. You can park in the yard. Beware of the dog. Wipe the feet off the knee 3 times and bring your billfold. So I took the Innocent County Club.
After midnight, as Ron headed off with his ladies to hit the local hot springs, thanks for the invitation, guys, but I think I'll pass, and Jamie closed up the bar, we headed to bed. I set up my cameras and waited in the dark to see if something would happen. So it's about 2:30 in the morning, been all over the hotel, and now I'm just going to sit really quietly in my hotel room in the dark and see if anything happens. I can hear voices. I don't know if it's people talking or something else. I really wish I could report to you that something happened, that I saw something strange, or that I heard something unusual, but unfortunately, I cannot. I finally crawled in bed around 3:30 a.m., and the only thing I heard were the guys in the next room who had been at one of the other bars in town all day. How am I supposed to hear a ghost with these assholes next door? And this asshole snoring over there. Sorry guys, I was thwarted by non-ghost hunting guests, but I tried. And I will also say, I think I'm going to come back here to Pioche and do an episode where I focus on some of the murders that took place here. Those stories and the cemetery deserve their own episode. But for now, it's off to bed. Now, as we always do here on Dining with Death, we sample the food in the haunted location. This is the only restaurant in town. It's called the Silver Cafe. What else would it be called? And it's very cute. I love the porch and the old sign and the cute little diner-style interior. Our server was just as kind and friendly as could be and told us stories about the town and offered suggestions for places for us to see. We ordered fried mushrooms to start. You know, I have to be honest, we didn't care for these. The breading was very heavy and had kind of an unusual chewy texture, almost like they were breaded in wet flour, which is something you should never do. The bestie had the French dip, which was okay, and I had the Ortega burger. It came with green chilies and pepper jack cheese, which had nice flavor to them. We tried the chicken strips, which were solid. The chicken was nice and juicy, and the breading was a bit more crisp. The fries were great, and you know, this being Utah, Nevada desert, we gotta have our fry sauce. This is a cute little restaurant that sits directly across the street from the Overland Hotel, a one-of-a-kind place in a one-of-a-kind town with some one-of-a-kind people. I thoroughly enjoyed my trip here, more than a lot of other places I've been, and I'm looking forward to another visit. The slot machines will still be ringing, Ron will still be at the bar, and according to many, the spirits of former guests and townsfolk will still be wandering the halls and the rooms here at the Overland Hotel.
Thank you for joining me today on Dining with Death, Dining with the Deceased. Like the video if you liked it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It helps me out a lot. Stay safe and be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time on Dining with Death. Bye.